Welcome to CivilNet. My guest today via Skype is Pia Locatelli. She's a member of the Italian Parliament and an honorary president of Socialist International Women. We invited Pia to speak to us today about March 8th, which is International Women's Day. Pia, thank you for joining us via Skype.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to hear from you.
Pia, you have been a long-time advocate of women's rights. You have worked for many, many years within the Socialist International Women's Organization and in different European organizations as well. I want to talk to you today about the importance, the significance of March 8th, which is a day that women around the globe commemorate, not only women, everybody. It's International Women's Day. You know, in the post-Soviet space, March 8th has become more of you know, glorification of women, and we receive flowers, but we don't oftentimes talk about the political rights of women. If you could just talk to us today about that.
Well, the fact is that some people celebrate and offer flowers, but many of us say that this is a symbolic day, but so to say, a day of fight, so to say, because political rights, but not only political rights, are there for women. So it is a symbolic day to make our fight for equality even stronger. I mean, it's good to celebrate, but it's not enough. And in fact, we speak of day, international day, not international feast. You know what I mean? And it's symbolic because there is a history behind this day, which is not it's a gathering different reasons to celebrate the day, because in the second Congress of Socialist International Women, Clara Zetkin launched the idea of having an International Women's Day. But also here in the States, there were marches for women asking for bread and roses. So it was a sort of an intersection of many different reasons, and so the day was launched. But it is a way, it is a day not to be, so to say, happy, but to fight even more, because women's rights all over the world are not yet conquered. And if I look at any countries in the world, I can see how difficult in many countries the situation is for women. I know that in Europe, we are in a better condition than in other countries, but I'm still thinking of how difficult life is for many women in Africa, how difficult is life for many women in Asia. So stay together, but to give strength to each other in order to have a more stronger battle to win our rights.
Pia, you are currently in the United States. You will be taking part in the CSW at the United Nations, which is the Conference on the Status of Women. And I know that the Socialist International Women's Organizations always have organizes parallel events. What is the importance? And Armenia also sends a delegation to the CSW every year where they present a report on the condition of women in the country. Could you tell us why it's important to continue having these sessions, the CSW, on an annual basis at the United Nations in New York?
Well, it is, first of all, at the session of CSW, I mean, it's important because the word is there. We have official delegations and most equal opportunities ministers or equality ministers are there. But together with the official delegations, we have NGOs coming from all over the world, and it's a sort of annual appointment of women, as we started doing in Beijing, you know, the great event. And so it's a sort of, in a smaller scale, of course, of this appointment to evaluate what the status of women is all over the world and to give new impetus to our battle. For example, the agenda is this year is to evaluate the Millennium Development Goals and to build a post-MDGs agenda. And there is still a lot to do, because if you look at the 8 goals, some have been almost achieved, but some others are still open and the target has not been reached. So there is a lot of work to do. And unfortunately, from what I see, the sensitivity and commitment in favor of the rights of women is, so to say, diminishing. And, you know, I know that there is a wave movement which goes up and down. And in this very moment, we are not up. So we must join forces and work together. And what's good for women is that not all, but very often women can join forces, even if they belong to different cultural backgrounds or political backgrounds, which is what is happening in Italy. For example, we are passing the electoral law, and women from different parties, both from the left and from the right wings, are joining forces in order to have, how can I say, positive actions to promote women's political rights. We have to keep going and to work and continuously to work, because none is given for granted as for women's rights. Nothing is given for granted.
Pia, you've been to Armenia twice, if not 3 times, I think. You came to organize twice a regional meeting of the Socialist International Women here in Armenia, and you also took part in a conference. I remember when you were here and we were talking about the rights of women, the condition of women, particularly in the regions, health issues, political empowerment. You know, a lot has changed in Armenia. We have progressed since the early years of independence, but there's still much work to be done in terms of getting women involved in decision-making bodies of the country, so that their voices and perceptions are included when, you know, policy is being developed. Just as a message to women, to Armenian women, because you have been in the region, you have been in many, many countries of the world, and you've worked with women in all social strata, what is the one message that you think is important that we celebrate or discuss tomorrow for International Women's Day?
2 messages. Numbers count. So you have to push in order to be in decision-making positions first. But this is not enough. When women are there, we have to be quite, how can I say, ready to change policies. You know, policies are not neutral, and policies and laws impact on women's and men's life differently. So when you pass a law, when you set up a policy, you have to be aware of the impact on women's life and on men's life. Keep this in mind when you take decisions, because numbers are important but are not enough. 50-50 is our goal, but when you are there, mind you, the job starts. Absolutely important.
Well, Pia, I'd like to thank you for waking up very early. You're on the east coast of the United States right now, for joining us here in Yerevan. I'd like to remind our viewers that my guest was Pia Locatelli. She's a member of the Italian Parliament, an honorary president of the Socialist International. She will be taking part on the conference on the status of women at the United Nations. Pia, thank you very much for joining me here. I'd like to wish you a happy International Women's Day and congratulate you for all the brilliant work that you've done to empower women, not only in Italy and in Europe, but all over the world.
All over the world, yes. Ciao, Maria.
Ciao.
Bye. Ciao.
Thank you for watching CivilNet.